Welcome to Storytime with Sugar. Today we're reading Home of the Brave. When the man came to the mouth of the gorge, he set his boat down. He stood still and listened to the river, then slowly pushed out onto the dark water. The riffles turned to waves, and the waves turned to rapids. The steady roar grew louder. Suddenly, the river fell away. The man closed his eyes and held his breath. The churning water tore away the kayak and paddle, his helmet and life jacket. When at last he took a breath, he was being swept into an underground river. His strength and hope draining, he imagined seeing a faint light. Slowly, it grew brighter. The tunnel widened into a large cave lit by a single shaft of light. He did not see the ladder until he crawled out of the water. He climbed up. At the top, he looked out onto a desert. Some ruined buildings made of earth stood nearby. Must be an Indian reservation, he thought. Two dark figures crouched against an adobe wall caught his eye. He walked toward them. He was surprised to see that they were two small children. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Waiting to go home," the girl answered. "How did you get here?" he asked. "From the camp," she said. "And where is your home?" he asked. They did not answer. He leaned down and looked at the tags on their coats. He could not make out the writing. "Looks like we are lost together," he said. "Come, there must be a town somewhere." He took their hands, and together they walked into the desert. They did not walk long before a wind began to blow, filling the air with dust. "Close your eyes," the man yelled, pulling the children forward. After a time, he shouted, "Lights! I see lights! A town!" They came to a row of buildings made of wood and tar paper. All the windows were dark. "Camp," the children said. He looked at them and they looked away. "Let's see if anybody's here," he said. They shook their heads. "But I saw the lights," he said. "I'll be right back." Alone, he walked to the nearest house. "Hello," the man called through an open door. No one answered. He went up the steps and looked into a small room. It was empty except for a piece of paper lying on the floor. It was a name tag like the one the girls wore. He went in and picked it up. "No," he cried. The tag had his name on it. He stood still as if stricken. Then a sound startled him. He rushed outside. A group of children stood before him like one large body with many eyes. They stared in silence. Then all at once the small mouths opened. "Take us home," they chanted. "Get back inside," a tremendous voice boomed. Everyone turned. Behind them, two watchtowers loomed in the darkening sky. "Get back inside," the loudspeakers bellowed again. The children started to run. Like swords, two beams of light slashed at the children. Turn them off," he shouted at the watchtowers. The searchlight turned to him and blinded him. He staggered after the sound of running feet. When he could see again, the children were gone. Before him was a round pit like an arena. In the middle was a hole with a ladder. A single name tag lay nearby. It had a girl's name on it, the same as his mother's. And now he remembered he had been named after his mother's father. As he put the tag with the other in his pocket, he thought he heard voices of children inside the hole. He climbed down. At the bottom was complete darkness. "Where are you?" he called. Only echoes of his own voice answered. A great weariness came over him. He lay down and fell asleep. Whispering voices woke him. He was lying by the side of a river. A group of children were standing by a boat on the bank. With a start, he realized that it was his kayak. "You didn't have to run," he said. They turned and stared. They were not the same children. "Where am I?" he asked. "You're in our camp," one of them answered. "No," he exclaimed. He sat up and saw the pieces of paper on the ground. Name tags. He leapt to his feet and ran up the bank. A gust of wind scattered the tags in the air. The man took the two tags from his pocket and released them. The strips of paper joined the others. Suddenly the cloud of name tags seemed to turn into a great flock of birds. The man and the children watched until they disappeared over the mountains. "They went home," said a child. "Yes, they went home," the man said. And the children nodded.